Garry Paskwietz joined by John Jackson and JJ. We are going to break down the USC-UCLA game. Let's talk first of all about things going into the game. When you look at the defensive game plan that you saw the Trojans put together to go against UCLA, what did you think about how the plan was coming into the game?
Well, I thought the plan was right. I thought the formula for success was there. I thought that the Trojans needed to play an odd man front, which basically means they needed to put 5 guys close to the line of scrimmage with the option to blitz or to bring extra pressures when necessary. They did exactly that. That was one thing that was a key. The other thing I thought in comparison to last year, I thought they had to get out of man coverage, play some zone coverage, so that way if Hundley started to get on the move, more guys would have their eyes on him, would be able to tackle him and keep him under control, and lastly, of course, keep him in the pocket. The Trojans did all of that, including stop the run and Paul Perkins from being effective as well. They did all those things well, and that was what I really liked about the game plan going in.
Okay, they did all those things well, but then UCLA turned around and have success. What did Hundley and the Bruin offense do that allowed them to put up a bunch of points?
Well, the one thing when you started to break down what was the most important thing, first of all, with the run game, okay, so we had that in check. The next thing was the type of front, and they had that in check. The other thing with UCLA, which is a major component of their offense, is for Hundley to make those easy, short passing throws, whether it be bubble screens or slants, the easy high percentage throws. He, like Cody Kessler, was one of the highest, completion percentage quarterbacks in the nation. So with that, he obviously has thrown a lot of short stuff, and in order to have success against him, you have to throw that off rhythm and make him make some difficult throws. That's where the Trojans, in my opinion, lost it. They did not, they brought pressure at times. They were able to get to him at times. He was uncomfortable at times, but they did not keep that same type of feel throughout the game, and he was way too comfortable back there and completed way too many easy passes that led to big gains.
You mentioned something that I thought was really key when we're going to flip it over and talk about the USC offense, and that's when you talk about lack of rhythm. JJ, too many times this year, including this UCLA game, it just seems like the Trojan offense has had a hard time getting the rhythm and then keeping it.
Well, and that's always really the key to this offense is that when they're in rhythm and the tempo is where it needs to be, sometimes upping the tempo, sometimes slowing it down, this offense has been really good. And the key to that, has been, Cody Kessler. He's been really sort of managing that situation and managing the offense really well. That was one thing that they did well going into it. That's why I thought the Trojans would have a lot of success, because even in games prior to this, they were playing with such a great rhythm in those games. I just thought it would continue against the Bruins.
It did not, though. What did UCLA do, or what did USC not do that it got out of rhythm?
Well, the one thing UCLA did was they had a game plan as well, and they said, first of all, we're going to stop the run game with Buck Allen, and they did that. And then they said they're going to stop the short passing game, and they did that. The difference was when they did come up to stop the bubble screens and some of the short passing game, the high percentage easy throws for Cody Kessler, the Trojans didn't make them pay with stuff down the field. And that's sort of the catch-22. When you're a defensive coordinator, if you're going to come up and take away the easy throws, which a lot of people want to do, the quarterback, the receivers, the combination of the passing game has to make you pay with some big throws. And they did that against us with Duarte. He had caught an easy slant, one move, and he was gone to the house. The Trojans did not have those big explosive plays, and that's really was the difference in the game.
You talk so many times about these rivalry games, and you say all these games so often come down to a handful of plays. Who makes the plays, who doesn't? And in this game, it was a chance. Trojans had their chances throughout the game. The plays just didn't get made.
Yeah, such a big factor in all of these rivalry games. There's always 5 or 6 plays, you're right, that you can sort of point to. Back in the old days, it was Eric Affolter making a catch. The different plays. The guys would get special plays to sort of define the game. Obviously, the Trojans did not make those. I thought that, a couple key ones. Nelson had the fumble on the punt return. That's a key momentum swing. But along with that, the defense did a good job of forcing a 3rd and long situation, which would have forced a field goal, which you're sort of, really happy to get out of harm's way with that. And then on the 3rd down call, they blew a coverage and a guy was open, and that was a really easy touchdown score. The other one was UCLA made their blunders as well. It's not like they weren't human. The punter drops a punt. The Trojans have a chance to make a tackle inside the 5-yard line, which would put them right on the doorstep to score a touchdown and swing momentum once again. They didn't do that. The only play that obviously they made, it was a huge momentum swing, was an interception by Sorrow, which was brought upon by a blitz by Justin Wilcox, which was dialed up beautifully, worked beautifully, a big momentum type of play. More of those is more of those would have been the difference in the game if the Trojans would have made the ones that they had an opportunity to.
And now you got to flip the switch, JJ. One of the things I know you always talked about as a player, one of the toughest things is these back-to-back rivalry games. The Trojans don't have time to sit around and lick their wounds. The Irish are coming to town on Saturday.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's always great to play in these rivalry games. The Trojans will be ready to play. A lot of people will say, are there going to be a hangover effect? I don't think so. I know that when I was a player at SC, whether it be UCLA or the Notre Dame game, which in my personal mind I think is a bigger game. It's known as the bigger game for USC. You're always going to be ready to play those. So this 2014 team has done a great job in terms of after they've had setbacks, and they've had some setbacks, right? They've come back and played well, and they've responded well after them. I expect the same thing, this week. First of all, because of the loss, and second of all, because it's Notre Dame, and there's just no time. I mean, Notre Dame's in the same boat as us. Both teams are sort of licking their wounds coming in. I think the Trojans respond well this week.
And in terms of focus, are you going to class during Notre Dame week?
You can't go to class. This will be 2 weeks in a row. And I told Cody Kessler this. I asked him, is he going to class? He said, yeah, he is going to class. I said, you can't focus if you're going to class. So this will be 2 weeks in a row for John Jackson. Although I was academic All-American, that I would not have been at class.
Get your priorities straight. Focus on the game plan.
You got to focus on what's going on.
From the John McKay Center, for John Jackson, this is Garry Paskwietz, ESPN.